Catchphrase Man is getting addicted to deleting videos. I think I deleted this video for 10 times or more. I don't know how many times I did. I decided to work on my second business, and one of the things that I discovered about myself not working on this business is the fact that my mind protects me from the unknowns. Whenever you start to do something new, you have a lot of unknowns. Whenever you start a new business, a new job, whatever you want, you have these emotions that you feel. These emotions come from ego protection and also from the unknowns that you are going to have in that venture. And my mind has all the reasons in the world, and mainly this one, to do so, to protect my ego from this. The main reason is because I started 8 or 10 businesses in the past, and I've only really been successful at one. Some of them made money, but I only have been successful at one single business. And that was the course business. And it took me 1.5 years or 2 years until I posted my first course. From when I decided to make courses, I made 12 courses, and then I lost them all. That was the best thing to ever happen, just because these courses were in the creation purgatory, let's say. And yeah, I was just sitting on them and not finishing them. It's exactly what happens with the second business. It's a pattern that I'm facing every time I start a new venture, just because it wants to protect you. And when people say, oh, but what do you have to lose? Well, ego, and of course, you might lose yourself. You might become a different person by the end of the business, by the end of the venture. I'm nowhere near the same person I was before I started the successful business that I have with courses. It's not really that successful, but it's enough to sustain me and not have to work a normal job. So yeah, the point that I was trying to make is that if I told you that you have 1 in 8 chances to start a new business, because that's my track record, 1 in 8 or 1 in 10, your mind is going to tell you, that's a lot. Like, you have like 10 to 15% chances. That's risky, man. You have 90 to 85% chances of failing. So we're not going to do that. That's a huge risk for our ego, for our mind, for our consciousness. And of course, that's going to be really tough to overcome. And of course, there is another thing, which is the moment you start to do something new, you build it up in your mind. And it's almost the same thing as the ego. It's almost the same thing as ego protection, in terms of the fact that you see it and you have to sacrifice that ideal, that imagery that you've built into your mind when you start doing it. When you actually have the results, your ideal business or the thing that you've created in your mind is now faced with reality, and it crumbles and it just changes, and now you have the real answer if the business works or not, because I want to believe that this is a business that it's 1 of 10 or 1 of 8, and it's going to make me quite a bit of money, but chances are against me. The chances are really against me in this venture. So that's what really makes this so hard on my mind and my emotions. I feel quite happy about today. I worked on my second business, which is super nice. And I also did some nice things around the house. I cooked, I went shopping, I went out with Sophie. She finally pooped. After 3 days, she finally pooped twice today. I think she was a bit fearful, like kids do. After they get some feelings that they shouldn't get, they are afraid to poop. And that's, I think, what she was. She was a little bit afraid to hunch over and poop. And today she did. And I'm super happy she did because I was getting a little bit worried, even though it was probably because she didn't eat for an entire day, for more than a day and a half, because that's what the vet said. Don't feed her until the operation and don't feed her until the morning after the operation. So, yeah, she had 1 day and a half of not eating. So that's probably why she didn't poop for 3 days. I don't think you need to hear about that. I'm very happy because I was remembering how I was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands and I was driving my bike and I was like, oh my God, this is what I do. And I get paid for it. And then I was driving the little truck around the warehouse and I was like, wow, this is so amazing. I feel so great doing these kinds of things and earning this money. And it's a fun adventure. And yeah, now I'm back home and I feel great about this as well. Even though it's a different kind of thing, I am coming up with new ways of just doing uh, collaborating remotely. I devised some plans. I was meditating today and I got distracted. It's always good when you get distracted during your meditation about great ideas, you know? Like, for instance, YouTube lets you upload videos, as many as you want, privately, and you can share them with other people. Well, if they are unlisted, you can share them with other people. So I can basically delegate, make videos of the things that I want done, and delegate to other people what I need to them to be doing. And yeah, that's so much easier and it doesn't require me to be there. And also, if they have questions, they can refer back to the video without me needing to. And plus, I get an asset. The fact that I've built this library of things, of SOP. An SOP is a standard operating procedure. Practically, I made a manual. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a reason to make these videos, which I did for myself. In case I forgot some things, I made some tutorials to be able to reference them in the future. Whenever you learn something new and you don't want to forget it because, well, you're going to spend so much time in the future relearning that, you can make a video for yourself and explaining how to do it and you will always have it. But the point is that now you don't have to scour the internet to find exactly the video because that's harder because you spend about 2 or 3 hours really getting down to what video, remembering what video really was that had really helped me do that specific thing. And plus, it's not always as specific as you need it, and you end up relearning over and over and over again. I did have a big discussion with a friend of mine about this, and he said, oh, but it means you don't need it. If you don't remember it like a year from now, it means you don't need it. No. Like, the more complex your system gets, the more complex your business gets, some things you only need to be doing every like 2 months, 6 months. You know, there are just different types of things. And that's why you build a tutorial for yourself, an SOP, a standard operating procedure, so that you don't have to spend time relearning the same thing over and over and over again, if that thing is mandatory for your business. Like, for instance, if I make 20 courses, I end up having to do, like, I don't know, color grades after 5 months of work or 3 months of work. So whenever I refer back to the coloring, what's it called? tutorial, I have it there and I know exactly what to do. I can instantly remind myself in 3 minutes what I need to be doing and what's the way I did it last time. And then I do it for like 20 courses. You see, now, if I do it at the end of each course, I don't get the benefit of the, what's it called? the line. The guy who invented Ford, Henry Ford. I always forget this, man. Conveyor belt. Yeah, I forgot how it's called. But yeah, I don't get the benefit of that because whenever you do something, if you can do it in 20 chunks, like you do 20 courses instead of doing one from start to finish, you get the benefit of you get so specialized in doing one thing 20 times, you get so much more specialized in doing that thing than if you did it once and then you had to do a lot of other things and then you had to do it again after a week, and you never get to any mastery that way because you are not working with your brain, you are working against your brain. Our brains are so much better at developing skills when we immerse ourselves into this big soup of doing the same thing over and over and over again, but a little bit different, and changing a little bit and doing this type of thing this way. And yeah, that's basically called momentum. It's exactly what I'm doing with the videos. Whenever I delete a video, that's another repetition. Next time I'm doing it better, and next time I'm doing it even better. So I build this game so that I get better at the skill of speaking in front of the camera. But this skill, I didn't have a word for it for a long time, but I did it for my courses. I always did it because I noticed that whenever I just chunk 10 courses or 5 courses at the same time and do each task for each course individually, that one task for each 5 courses, that made it easier because you repeat that task 5 times, and by the 5th time you've nailed it down. And whenever you come back to do it again, like let's say for a month from now, you start a little bit better. So you incrementally build upon the work that you've done in the past, as opposed to doing a course from start to finish where you don't really get that, because it's important to do that, but when it's your first course, after you've figured out how to do the first course, then you should batch them and do them like this, just because you get so much more productivity. Your mind really doesn't like that, but it gets bored. But it's good to get bored by doing something. It means you've kind of mastered it. It's become trivial. Instead of becoming hard, it's just a chore. It's like washing the dishes. It's not computer science anymore. It's not, rocket science. Just because you are doing it so many times until it becomes second nature. But some tasks are not like that, just because you don't have that amount of work and that amount of time and repetitions to do them. Some things are super simple. Like, for instance, the color grade, I don't do it like for hours. It takes 20 minutes for 20 courses. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. But if I have that video, I don't have to relearn that thing. And I don't have to worry about it to figure out and remember everything. Like, trying to remember everything is the hardest thing to do, when computers are amazing and videos are amazing at remembering absolutely everything in perfect detail. So why would I just constrain my brain to doing that when I can have a computer to remember everything for me, everything that I want to remember in the future? Most things I don't. Like, I keep on learning and relearning the same things, but lately I've been better at synthesizing ideas and putting them into smaller ideas that are a placeholder for the whole concept, like momentum, or like, I don't know, I had plenty of other things, but momentum is one of the best things. It's the word of the year. If you can build momentum, then you're probably gonna it just makes everything so much simpler. You don't need motivation, you don't need inspiration, you don't need anything anymore. You just apply the principles of momentum, which is high repetitions in a short period of time, very short repetitions with very short breaks, and you do it over and over and over again. And then after 100 repetitions, 200 repetitions, you start to just not think about it anymore. You don't need anything, because why it works so good, why it works tremendously, amazingly good, is because you are also repeating the start. That's a habit in itself. To start something, to start that action, it's a habit. And if you are repeating that over and over again, then your mind is gonna just shift into that gear. And we've done this 200 times. What's 201? It doesn't seem like anything anymore for your brain. So that's how you you end up not requiring any more motivation and any more what's it called, inspiration and whatever else. You just do it as if you were always doing this. It becomes part of you. That's why momentum is the best tool to change your identity, to do an identity level change. So you become another person who simply talks in the camera without any script on a subject that comes to mind. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow.